Hello and welcome. Thanks, Chris, for joining. Good to see you back again. Much appreciated. Just checking the sound quality is okay. You can hear me all right. There's no background noise that's interfering. Okay, so as usual, we are looking at the DAX. So we're looking at the German 40 stock index market. Now, today might be a little bit different because I've kind of taken a bit of a hit on something, and I'll go through that shortly. But basically what I'm looking at the moment is the pivot points. We've got the close gap down lower, which would normally be my target. Now I'm going to share why I may not take a short today. And obviously we'll be using the order flow to try and make a decision at the open in about 8 minutes time as to whether we take a short, or there is the chance that I'll be looking to simply just blind buy over the next sort of period, because this morning what I did was take a short off the R3, so the uppermost level on the pivot points for the Nikkei, so the JPN 225 on the FTMO account. Now I took about a bit over $300 worth of heat, and over a series of trades I basically got in quite a bit, got in quite heavy, and then had a couple of trades that were stopped out at break even. And basically I was getting in around this level up near the R3. I got in again up top here, had a nice retracement, so I was up about $200, but I thought, you know what, if this is it, I'd really love it to get all the way down to the previous day's high. And then what happened? The market basically hovered around this level and then just powered up. So that one got stopped out at break even. Daily resistance. What's right. For example, on the Nikkei here, we're basically at the all-time high right now. Just as a note, so all-time high is reached. It's on the daily chart. So yeah, basically that's why I'm looking to maybe just blind buy it potentially. Again, guys, this isn't financial advice. This is just me sharing my experience and what I can see in the markets, of course, and just hoping to pass that. Now we're up on the yearly breakout long 65. So very close to the yearly breakout long on the US 30. And I would expect a really nice solid rejection off that level. If it was like a daily level, this is the yearly. I'm new to using these yearly levels, so just take it with a grain of salt, but they have been working out quite nicely. Like, look at these rejections down here. Obviously there's a fair few points between here and the bottom, but look at all that motion on the other side. So it's just a good thing to note. We've got about 5 minutes till the open. I'm just going to, so a lot of the markets, the ASX and the US 30 are up on the R1. I'll just check the ASX to prove that. So yeah, we've rejected off that R1. Coming down a little bit, but look at this Nikkei, it's just powering up. And there's a chance that, we've had 2 days in a row that have just been absolute power-ups. I do have concern that, this is an extreme gap here. I do have concern that, we might just be in a blind buy period. I'll have a look at the daily. Okay, so we're outside the Bollinger Band on a daily chart, which is quite massive. We don't generally open outside of the Bollinger Bands. In fact, I'm not really sure that I recall a situation where we have done that. Opened on it. That was still a positive day. We opened outside, so we would have opened here, and then it was just all downhill from that point on a daily chart. Opened outside on this one, and it continued up for days and days. So eventually it got back to break even, but it's not really the best indication that we are going to turn back down, because that was, I think, all-time highs at the time. So just be really conscious. Opened outside of it, turned around the next day. But it's not always a good indication that we're going to decline. So it's a bit tricky when the market starts doing this. It's really not my strong point going against the general concept of these pivot points. But essentially what I'd be hoping for is a nice strong push up into a level, followed by a bit of a retracement all the way down to either the extreme gap if we get a little bit higher, because that might be considered as almost filled from where it is now. So if we can open up a little bit higher, it will form a target. But then we've also got the close gap down below, which is a target. Keeping in mind that the market is just, it seems to get flooded with capital around this time of year. So from, say, October or even September all the way through to Christmas, the market just often seems to irrationally rise. So for the first half of the year, often I'll do quite well. The markets are quite reactive, have a really good start, and then towards the end of the year, I've gotten more confident. Tax returns come through, so I've got a bit more money to play with. And then the markets just start ignoring the levels and powering up. It's like money just starts coming in. It flows higher and ignores a lot of my analysis. So just being wary of that point. I am tempted today. I've still got $180 worth of max drawdown that I can use for today on my FTMO account because of that Japan loss earlier. And I am tempted to slowly buy in. Yeah, the Santa Claus rally, it starts so early and it just, at these highs, like on the weekly chart, we're at all-time highs. We're basically, we've got some wicks here that have formed, but we haven't actually closed above this level yet in history. But, this is the point where I'd be like, okay, let's go short because it's very likely to turn back down. And this time of year, it's happened to me time and time again where I've actually gotten short, held it because I'm confident that the market should reject, and it just powers up. So I'm going to change my tune today and just see if I can get long from a good point and just try and add as much volume in as I can, stops to break even, try and keep it as safe as possible. But at the same time, I'm not really too keen to get short in this kind of climate because I've done it time and time again, year after year, and it just makes no sense to me. And I think, it should turn around over maybe next week, maybe next month, and it can last sort of 3 months and just goes ridiculous. So we'll see what the market has to offer. We've got 10 seconds still open, guys. So I'm just going to have my finger on the trigger, make sure that the volume is correct in my order ticket. Yeah, I agree. It's just, there we go. No, I'm just going to hit buy once. I'm just going to watch, obviously, the total drawdown quite closely. So that's $59. I've got my stop at $59 here. If it does start breaking down, I don't want to sit in this one. And if this rejects properly, I'll be very disappointed because it'll be the first time it's happened in quite a while. Now that's a lot of volume coming in there, 43. Is that a buy limit? Possibly. I've bought another contract, so I'm sitting at max loss of about 100. I'll try and bring these stops to break even as soon as I can. Now, noting, of course, that I do think the market should go down ultimately, but my should approach hasn't been working the last couple of days. So I think the market's doing something that doesn't really respect analysis. Of course, this could be the one time that I choose to do this kind of approach and it actually responds to the levels. So we'll just wait and see. As I mentioned, for those who have just joined, I took a bit of heat on the Nikkei this morning, shorted it when it looked like it was going to reverse. Yeah, so it's quite frustrating, but if the market continues the same kind of activity that it has been recently, and I don't think it's going to necessarily just start to respect it all of a sudden. So I'm trying to build a position that's kind of safe, and I'll just try and hold it, get as much volume long as I can while this kind of activity is happening. Now, of course, so depending on what sort of account you've got with FTMO as well, you've got to watch that you don't hold for too long. I think some accounts don't allow you to hold over the weekend. This one is a swing account, so less leverage, but I can hold the trades as long as I like. But there is bigger swaps as well, just to note that. It's very important to consider that. Just trying to put the take profits up a little bit higher. So for today, I'm sitting at $314 loss. I've got a total max loss of 500. So I've only got 180 kind of thereabouts to play with. And basically the strategy I'm going for today is just blind buy. Simply because the markets are powering up without reason that I can see. And I'm just going to follow that trend and see if it works. So from a pivot point strategy though, however, this is where I'd like to kind of sell from. If we spiked up into the breakout long, ideally I'd love to come down and touch this previous day's high, which is an extreme gap at the moment, followed by the close gap as a target. So what's that? From here, it's around 100 points away, 100 points lower. But in saying that, the market, I'll just zoom out a little bit, look at that. It's basically vertical. And to get short in front of that, I have done it year after year, and it's just not a smart move. So today, I'm taking note of what the market is doing, how it's responding to the levels, which is basically it's just ignoring them. And I'm trying to build a position, obviously watching what goes on here. Also last night, so basically my account at the moment is 9,872. What happened last night was I jumped in a couple of trades. See if I can pull it up just while we're watching the market kind of do its thing. So I got in short around the R2, I think. Yeah, so we spiked up. I saw that basically a vertical move, and I thought, look, this is probably a really good time to get short. Target the extreme gap. There's a long distance away, and basically I'd be looking at passing the account if it responded. The market kept going up. We had a bit of a rejection, but nothing that could really be traded all that well. And basically the market soaked up all the buyers, all the sellers, I should say, and then just continued up long. So we'll see how today goes. We are having a perfect rejection off that R1, of course. We'll see how far it goes, but I will be looking to build my position even further today to the long side. Currently I need to bring up my Excel spreadsheet so that I make sure I don't go over my max drawdown. So I've got 59, we'll call it 60. And then I've got another trade which is 52, I'll call it. And I'll just sum that. So sitting at 112, I've got max 180 that I can play with. So if we come down a bit further, I might get in long again. And I'm just going to build a position, basically ignoring what I'm being told on the screen. simply because the market has been just blindly going up. And I want to follow that trend. So right now I'm basically ignoring all of the analytics that I usually go by because the market isn't respecting these levels, or I guess the order flow that I saw yesterday. I'll see if I can pull that up as well. We'll see. So there was a contract. See if I can find it. It was up here somewhere. There was a contract down at this level that was just massive. I think it was 90 contracts. 91 potential aggressive seller, but I think it was actually a breakout buyer. And the market continued up. 51 contracts here looked like a limit sell. Market kept going up, and basically saw indications that the market could be turning around in the volume, and it just didn't really happen. So we had a bit of slowing, but it just didn't really respect any of the levels, anything like that. So today I'm going to acknowledge the market and just try and keep buying. So I've got 2 contracts in at the moment. They're both currently, one's at break even, one's in profit slightly. And I'm just going to try and get them to break even, let them run. So today, basically because of what happened today on the Nikkei, it's blindly going up. I'll just pull that chart up. Look at that. So I got short around the R3, market powered up. I got short up here. It had a bit of a reaction, but basically stopped out at break even, and the market just continued up. Now the DAX is very good at just blindly going up. So I'm building a position quite small in essence, so quite small volume. I'm not taking a big risk on it, but I'm just looking to just build a position anywhere above this previous day's high. If we get below this level here, then I'll be out of the market. And I'll come back again next week. So this is a bit unusual for the way I usually trade, just to note. It's not, it's more respecting what the market is showing me rather than what the analysis that I usually work with is telling me. Like it does look like a lot of selling, but at the same time, like look at all this green. At the same time, I'm just not sure that the market's ready to give back all of those earnings that it's had over the past period. So like, look at that. Massive rally. Mind you, we are up at the highs. Look at that wick. We only stayed above for a small period over here. So perhaps this is the one day that I should be following it, and it's finally going to turn around. But I'm just not sure after the Nikkei's reaction today. So just building a long position. I've added another contract around this price. If we break below, I'm going to basically just get stopped out. If we do get below this level, then I think there's a good chance we will have quite a strong down day. But in which way? So they're all kind of related in a sense. They're all kind of intercorrelated. So there's a good book by, I'm not sure who wrote it. It looks like we're potentially going to break down here, which is quite frustrating. $52 contracts there. Now, is that a limit sell? And there's a whole heap of people coming in as a seller, or is that aggressive buying? I'm not particularly sure. But at the moment, I've got $144 in my stops. So if I get taken out, I'll be getting quite close to my max drawdown. So Intermarket Strategies is the book. I'll just see if I can find it. Intermarket Strategies, Wiley. I think it's a book by Wiley. So Intermarket Trading Strategies by Wiley. If you look that book up, I think this is one of the books that professional traders do recommend. It's quite complex, and it talks about how the markets are related and how they're, I guess, conversely related in some situations. And it seems to be finally respecting the downside. So that's not ideal. And $20. It's got about $20. Add that on. So yeah, if I get stopped out here on my FTMO, I'll be looking at pretty much a $500 down day, just about. And we'll just have to see. Yeah, wait till next week. I'll still have, so what's the account at? It'll be, what, 9,700 odd? Yeah, 9,700. So I've still got $700 to play with. We'll just have a look at the other time frames to see what's going on. See, the market's kind of, it gets to a level, it hovers around for a while, soaks up people that think, this is time to go short, and then it powers up. It's just done that sort of multiple times. Getting long at this point, if I had have held that, would have been an excellent setup. So that's the 30-minute chart there. This is the hourly. There is a good chance that this will come all the way down and close this gap. On normal trading conditions, that's exactly what should happen. But we just kind of have to wait and see whether the market will respect the levels and the analysis, or there's just buyers flooding the market. Like this 60 is a lot bigger than normal. I'm not used to seeing that kind of volume come into the market. And I think, where else? 15, so there's 50 contracts up here. So just massive orders coming in, not really making too much sense. So it's like somebody's in the market that's not normally just playing around in this market. Of course, I could be wrong, and the market may respect the levels and go back to normal trading. But that didn't happen on the Nikkei today. So for example, so I've got the US 30 here. So the US 30 is kind of sitting on the R1, and on the Oz 200 we're kind of around that same level, so we're rejecting off the R1. So very similar kind of a setup between the Oz and the US. The FTSE sitting around the R1. So see how the markets were on the R1 or rejected off that R1 on the DAX. The Nikkei just basically ignored all the levels and powered on up. So the markets are often quite correlated. We've got another big order here, so 15. It's not huge though. So we'll see if we break past this level here down the bottom on this low, then I think we're probably going to go down and hit this close gap. But until that point, basically recently the market sort of gets down to this level, and it hovers around, and then just kind of soaks up all of the sellers to take their order and then power up further and just ignore all the levels. So that's what I'm banking on today. May or may not happen, of course. I'm not too far off getting stopped out on this particular trading day. So, I'm sort of 15 points off getting a stop out. But I'll come back next week, and we'll still have $700 to work with, and hopefully the market's a bit more respectful of the levels. Got another massive order there, so 88 contracts. So it's like it's come down Not really sure what's going on with this kind of activity here. So we had 18 bid side contracts. We've got 60 now, and then we're kind of working in from this point. We've come up and there's been 88 contracts go in. So is that a buy limit? How do you mean basing, like as in forming a bottom? That's what I'm hoping is going on. Similar to what happened yesterday, it basically just soaked up any potential short orders. Got slightly below, I guess, and then it just powered up. So that's what I'm hoping happens today. Could be wrong, and just basically watching that market now to, like, look at this. There's 90 contracts there. It's massive. It looks like it's not aggressive selling. It looks like it's a limit order. So this could have been stops, like a massive order of sell limits on the stop side. So somebody's been stopped out of their long, and then somebody's got back in at a buy limit for 91 contracts, maybe. I'm just trying to figure out the picture. Yeah, so really sideways. As long as we don't break this candle on the 5 minute, this low, then I'll remain in the market. If we come down just to this point here, then I'll be out. At the moment, I'm not reading the market very well. So it's just important to, stop out and just, had I have actually left yesterday and not traded like I said I was going to, I'd still be in, $400 away from winning. So anyway, my stops are in place. If I come down, I'll still be within my max daily drawdown. So I had a big loss last night after the session, even though I said that should be it. Had another loss this morning because the markets just aren't respecting the levels. So we'll see how it plays out today. Of course, today could be the day where the market decides to, have had a couple of days of ignoring the levels, and today could be the day where it's like, right, we're back on the analysis wagon. So there's 95 contracts there. It's a massive, massive order. I'm just not sure whether that's buyers or sellers, but it keeps kind of bouncing down. It doesn't seem to be taking hold to the long side, which is a bit of a concern. I think, just have to wait and see what actually happens. It's quite frustrating. Was there an option to wait for a pullback? Do you mean on the Nikkei? Because what happened was, look, not really, because that looked like it was actually going to start. Whoa, that's a massive order there. 84 contracts. So I'm out now. 482 total loss. 86 contracts. Look at that. On the DAX, not particularly, because I guess like where we're at now is kind of the lowest point so far. So we've only just opened. We kind of shot up, had a bit of a rejection off the R1. Look, that 86 could be a massive aggressive order, and it's really seemed to bounce off that level right where my stop was. We'll see what happens here. It's just very hard to read this market right now. Very hard to depict what's going on, because this looks like either aggressive buying or a sell limit. well, it has to be either one of those. And I'm not sure which one it is, because we didn't, that's a big order, that's a lot of contracts to then the market just starts kind of going back up off that number. But then again, same thing up here. It's like there's a really big player kind of pushing the market around, sort of bossing the price around a little bit to confuse the normal trajectory of the market. So ideally we'd come down and touch this close or even the pivot. But these massive contracts in the middle of nowhere aren't making sense to me. German bank holiday, that's good to know. And considering that, I just wonder where these massive orders are coming from. So somebody's really, really digging in their heels. There's not too much going on the FDAX Mini either. It's all on these the full futures contracts. Look, guys, I'm not going to sort of sit around and share my insight if I don't particularly know what's going on. And that kind of is the situation. Look, my analysis says that we should come down and hit the close, but on the flip side, there's these massive orders that I don't really know what they're on about. So I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully next week the markets will kind of normalize a little bit, and we'll be able to make some better decisions. So have a good weekend, guys. Sorry I couldn't be of more assistance or provide more detail in what I'm thinking. And I appreciate you guys coming and watching. Thanks again, guys. Best of luck with your trading, and we'll see you all next week.